Today we're at the OSU Fruit and Pecan Research Station in Perkins, Oklahoma, where we as gardeners often benefit from some of the research practices. And today we have a good friend of Oklahoma gardening who hasn't been on in a while, Dr. Dean McCraw. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Steve.
Now, Dean is our extension tree fruit and pecan specialist. And Dean is going to show us how one such research project will actually benefit those of you growing peaches. Now, Dean, tell us first of all about your research project. What's going on out here?
What we're looking at here, Steve, is in this particular project is the effect of soil preparation or berms, different types of bed configuration as it relates to water use and tree longevity and growth and yield and those kinds of things.
So really you're helping commercial growers across the state really spend their money more economically, I guess, in water efficiency and preparation and everything,
yeah,
right?
The intent of it would be to do that, to find ways that get maximum utilization of the resources.
Okay. Now, with this particular project, you are really dealing with the development of the fruit and how much water to put on, right?
Yeah, that's part of it, and much of that work has already been done. We're just applying those principles to the work that we're doing here, and we feel like that's just a good management practice.
Okay, well let's actually look at one of the fruits here, and this is a peach, and this has been on a particular variety, right? Too?
Yeah, most of the work that's been done as far as water utilization, at least here at OSU, has been on Cresthaven.
Okay. Now, the stage of development is crucial. Dean, tell us about those different stages.
Okay, if we look at the development of a peach fruit, we've divided that up into three distinct stages, beginning at the time of pollination, or in most cases when the petal fall. If we have from the first 53 days, from 0 to 53 days, we call stage 1, which would be the time that the cells are dividing, or increased number of cells, a rapid increase in size of the fruit occurs. The next stage is stage 2, which would be the next, say, from 53 to 70 days. We don't have a tremendous increase in fruits size during that time, but we have pit seed development inside the fruit. The pit would develop inside the fruit. After stage 2, which would be after 70 days, from 70 days until harvest, then during that period of time, the seed is hard, the pit is fully developed, and the fruit is filling out.
And that's the stage you have here in your hand, right?
Yeah, that's right. At this stage we are in the year, we don't have any varieties that are still in stage 2. All of them have got, the pit is hard, and they're in the final stage of development toward
And
harvest.
that's why watering is so important, because the peaches almost all water anyway, right?
Yeah, about 90%.
Okay, so at this stage, with this hard seed and stage 3, we really need to focus on making sure we get water to it.
That's exactly right.
How are you doing that process now? Describe to us how you're actually measuring a process called Pan Evaporation.
What we do, and it's a standard weather measurement practice, is to measure the amount of evaporation from a Class A pan. That's an aluminum exposed metal pan that's set out and fully exposed to the elements, and then we fill that with water, and then we measure with a micrometer scale the amount of evaporation that occurs from that pan once a week or twice a week, and then we replace the amount of water that the tree needs based on the amount of water that evaporates.
Okay, and there's a formula, I guess, that you want to share with us on how that's done. Is that right?
Yeah, there's really there's not any way to really to do that unless you convert from inches of pan evaporation to the tree, and that's based on the size of the tree, and it's based on the amount of evaporation that you have. If we take the factors that we need to consider are the inches of pan evaporation, which we measure from the tank, and then we relate that to the area that the tree canopy covers, which is pi times the radius squared. We figure the radius of the tree and square that, and then that would be times the number of gallons of water per cubic feet. It would be 7.48.
Now I know a lot of viewers are probably seeing that and it's scaring them off, but you're going to show us, Dean, how it really applies to this one tree here, and you're going to fill in some numbers. And,
Okay.
and again, I think if they'll stay with us, they'll see that it really is something very simple that they can apply at home. But so with that formula and the evaporation, how much water would we need to put on a tree like this?
Okay, there's only two things that change in the formula. One will be the measured pan evaporation, and the other will be the radius of the tree, or the area of the tree. In this case, if we take a tape measure and we measure from the trunk of the tree out to the edge of the drip line, the drip line right here, and on this tree it's about 4 feet. So we figure that the radius of this tree is about 4 feet. So then we'll take during the heat of the summer here, we were running about, when the temperature runs about 95 to 98 degrees, we were getting about 1/2 an inch of pan evaporation each day. So we figure over 4 days, we're losing 2 inches of water. So we're going to take 2 inches of water, and we're going to convert that to feet, divide that by 12 to get the number of feet, which would be 0.167. Then we're going to take that times pi.
All right.
Pi is 3.143 times the radius of this tree, which is 4 squared, or 16. And then that number will be times 7.48 gallons. So what we wind up with is 2 divided by 12 is 0.167 times 50.2. That figure is pi times the radius squared.
One of the variables.
That's exactly right. That number times 7.48 gallons per cubic foot gives me a figure of 62.8 gallons of water
for this one
tree.
And that's at 100%.
That's 100% of pan evaporation. That would be the most critical during the time of stage 3, which is the time after pit hardens.
Okay.
If you take a knife, and if you cannot cut through the fruit in cross section, you're in stage 3.
Now, Dean, with a tree like this, you have on drip irrigation with a couple of emitters. How long then are you leaving the system on, and what output are you getting on your system?
Well, we run, Steve, about a gallon per hour, and that varies with the emitter, of course, and with the pressure and all those kinds of things. But if the emitter puts out about a gallon per hour, and we use 2 emitters per tree, so to put on 62 gallons of water with 2 emitters at a gallon per hour each, we'd leave it on for about 30 hours.
Right.
Take about 30 hours at 2 emitters. Would be 62 gallons.
Okay, and I don't think most homeowners would think about leaving a drip irrigation system on for that long, but that's so crucial. Now, Dean, of course, this time of year, people are already starting to harvest their fruit, or they may have new trees they've just planted. We wouldn't be concerned with 100% of efficiency. What would you suggest for someone who's already harvested their fruit?
Work indicates, Steve, that after the time the fruit's harvested, then the important thing would be to keep the leaves on the tree and not let the leaves stress. A planting figure there would be in the absence of rainfall. As we know in Oklahoma, a lot of times we don't get much rainfall in August. So in the absence of rainfall during August and early September, then apply enough water to amount to about 50% of pan evaporation. In this case, if the water requirement is 62.8 gallons, 50% of that would be about 31 gallons of water per tree.
And that's about once a week, probably. Now, you've devised a way, let's quickly show them a way that they can measure evaporation in their own backyard, basically.
Okay, it's really not difficult at all to measure. All we need to have is some way to determine how much water is lost. So we take a container, fill that container with water, we put a straight edge across it, and we take a yardstick or some type of device to measure down the amount, the distance from that fixed point to the top of the water. And then we'll measure that again, say every, a couple of weeks, well, twice a week, twice a week about. Then we'll replace that water for the tree based on that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where you start.
Right.
It doesn't matter where you are, as long as all the measurements are in relation to that first
Right, and there's
measurement.
many ways to do that. We
Lots
just
of
want to
ways.
find out how much is being lost in a
That's
week,
right.
and that's how you came up with your ½ inch converted to the 2 inches.
That's exactly right.
And fit in those formulas. So Dean, I think that's some real exciting stuff that we can actually apply. Now, I know we talked earlier in the season about Mesonet and how that's branching out through the state and various stations, and homeowners can sign up for that, and they will actually have Pan Evaporation readings, won't they, here
That's
shortly?
correct. Pan Evaporation will be available as part of the regular data you can extract from Mesonet.
So a lot of exciting things going on that will help us as homeowners too. Now, of course, you'll notice we have water standing in the background. I guess this has relieved us this week since we finally got a rain in 2 weeks.
We're pleased to see it.
But that's not always the case, and this helps out. Well, Dean, thanks again for joining us.
You're welcome, Steve. Glad to do it.